right, you guys, welcome back. You have tuned in to Sisters Heart, where we stream live on IntellectualRadio.com via iHeartRadio. I am your host, Lady Kim, and I'm excited to be here once again. This truly is the day that the Lord has made. I'm sitting here looking, we're getting this going, you guys, because I started on time, so I'm excited. I'm sitting here with my brother, my co-host for the day, my guest, and I'm going to just allow him to introduce himself, and then we're just going to jump right into our show, if that's okay with you guys. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Robert R. Holiday, and glad to be here with you.
Robert R. Holiday, and I asked him this before, you guys. He was on the show that was last month.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask again, just for those of you guys that are new tuning in, what does the R stand for?
Romante.
Romante. He's all romantic and stuff, Romante.
Well, this is true.
Absolutely. Listen, you guys, though, just tell them a little bit about yourself, because, of course, I know you. You're a man of God. You operate with integrity. But tell them about who you are, and then we're going to go right into the show, okay? Because we got some things that we want to talk about, because truly this is our topic today. Just can we talk?
Well, senior pastor. Well, first of all, I am the husband of Patricia Ann Holiday, husband of 31 years. I have 3 natural, beautiful daughters and other children throughout, spiritual children, God children. The senior pastor of Ruach Worship Ministries at 5849 West North Avenue in Chicago. And your brother.
Absolutely. He's my brother. You guys gave me my first real job where I actually earned a paycheck, and just the way things work out and how God would just really have you kind of come full circle. I found his youngest brother and found him on Facebook, and just through our relationship over the years, I know that I have grown a lot with the things that he has impacted in my life or imparted in my life. So I bless you, and I just thank God for you.
Well, thank you.
We had a conversation the other day, and sometimes we start talking, we just be all over the place. And so today's kind of going to look like that too. We're going to kind of be all over the place, but it's going to definitely be with some purpose, because we definitely want purpose to be behind this. Can we talk today? This is for Sisters Heart, and it's always about touching somebody, reaching somebody, and causing people to think to do things better. So I want to talk about purpose right now. I really want to talk about purpose. Everybody is getting ready for 2017.
Right.
And there's things that they just didn't do in 2016 that they were supposed to do. And there's a difference between doing things that you want to do versus doing things that God has told you to do. And what God has told you to do lines up with your purpose. How do we kind of put on the brakes and realize that we still have time in 2016? It's not all lost, and that we can still move in our purpose. How do we talk people through that, as far as, listen, relax, you still have time. 2016, you still have time. How do you do that?
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was kind of speaking about that this morning. One thing that blesses me as I look on social media, I noticed that you have this countdown, how many days left in a year. And oftentimes we become so forward thinking people without ever living in the now. And so as I was trying to get over to the congregants this morning, it's that we have to stop always speaking about the future, but we need to deal with where we're at and what God wants us to do now, because we will never ever capture future and his purpose and plan if we don't try to align ourselves with his mind and what he's saying for right now. We always want to put things off for the future. I see myself in the future. That's an excuse to not deal with yourself here and stop having the identity crisis of the future, because I can look at you and believe so much about you, but I struggle with the identity of who I am. But when I could align myself with his mind and what he's saying about me, it is then that the logos end us meeting chronos, and time becomes meeting. So that word matches up with the time, and we start walking into the destiny. Because if you're always just looking at future, when are you going to live?
I love that. If you're just always looking at your future, when are you gonna live? And that's a lot of people struggle in that area. When you think of everything that has gone on this year, with loss, people losing loved ones, and just ready for it to be over, bills and responsibilities, and just the challenges of 2016. All of us really just want it to be over, and just get to 2017.
But think about this. I've seen so many people say, and especially for those who You should be able to look and tell. I'm older than Kim.
Yes.
I see I see people in your age group and even my daughter's age group. There's like, man, 2016 been so bad. I can't wait to get to 2017. You're not even looking at the potential of what today can become. So you're ready to abort another 30 something days just to get to 2017 to have the same complaints all over again. It's analogous to this for me. If I'm driving to Mississippi, which unfortunately I've done a couple of times, the first time I went, I was just trying to get there. But as you start going more, you start appreciating the journey. Mm-hmm. And so even if I get a flat tire, I need to look around and appreciate what's around me. So it teaches me how to live to become better in now. But if I'm always futuristically thinking, and I'm not saying that we should never futuristically think, and God knows I do, you'll never, ever appreciate, and life will have been passed you by. And next thing you know, you're 70 years old and you're living with these regrets because I've never captured anything at all. So look, I've had loss this year. You've had loss this year. I'm not anxious for this year to be over. I'm anxious for the moment that I'm living in so that I can build upon that and become even better for the next moment.
Absolutely. I'm the same way. I want what God has promised me in 2016. Yeah, there was things that had transpired throughout this year that definitely shook me to the core.
Yes.
The loss of my father. You lost your father. However, there are still things that I'm waiting to be manifested. And while 2017 perfect, I believe that's going to be a great year. We're believing God for a great year. I just believe that what was promised to me in 2016 that I haven't gotten yet, that I'm still going to see it. You know, there's that scripture, and you know the scripture. You know, this is pastor in the house, you guys. You know, I would have fainted had I not believed. Amen.
See the
see the goodness of the Lord
in
the land of the living. And that goes back to the thought process. We have to live in the moment, which is now, and understand that there is still time, there is still hope. And you cannot look at everything that was so negative and believe that it surpasses the positive. You know, positive will always be greater than the negative. It's just a matter of how we see it or how we choose to see it, because it really is a choice. And as people, we've been given that right. We've been given that right to have choice. Look at you guys. We're going to take ourselves a really quick break. Once again, you have tuned in to Sister's Heart, where we stream live on IntellectualRadio.com. And I'm your host, Lady Kim, and I'm sitting here with, tell me who you are.
Robert R. Holiday.
Robert R. Holiday, okay? It's romantic. All right, we'll be right back, you guys. Hey, continue. you guys, welcome back. Once again, you have tuned in to Sister's Heart, where we stream live on IntellectualRadio.com. I'm your host, Kim, and I'm sitting here with Pastor Holiday, Pastor Robert R. Holiday, and he truly is in the house. And we were discussing, just regards to driving your purpose. It's that fuel behind the fire. And it was a thought that the pastor, I'm just going to call him Robert. Can I just call you Robert today? We're going to go call him Robert, that he wanted to share with us, because, sometimes you got to put a handle on that.
No, I'm just
sometimes
Robert.
you got to put a handle on it. So yeah, absolutely, that Robert wanted to kind of go back to that thought. So please do it.
As I begin to share this morning, one thing I think everyone needs to do is, how many days left in this year? You always count down. It is
I was say 3. That's what, 37, 38?
37. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've cleared out over 300 days. If you really look at the progression that you've made from January 1st up until this time, you'll begin to see the growth and the movement that you have made. Oftentimes we're looking for this big flood, and things have been coming in by drops and drizzles, but it'll still accomplish the same purpose and fill the room the same way a flood will. Part of the thing is that we're uncomfortable because the capacity of who we are is being challenged and it's being expanded. I heard something that was so brilliantly said by Bishop Noel Jones, is that the reason why you're a gift is that because you're for someone else. And I began to think about that, is that I buy myself stuff that I want and need. But if I buy you something, it's a gift for you. And you take the bow off the gift and you're excited. You get past the beautiful wrapping and you begin to appreciate what's on the inside. And so the capacity for who you are has really just been challenged and expand. But if you really took a look at it with clarity, you'll see that you have accomplished more than you thought that you might have accomplished. The struggle is that we live with ourselves daily and we struggle with our own proclivities and the identity of who and what we are. But God has really used us and blessed us even in this year to expand and become even a greater gift. And so that's why you just knowing you're one of those people that people come to all the time, and Lord, why is it that I'm always helping somebody, and why doesn't it seem like I get the help? Well, you're just being expanded, and you have the capacity to handle. And as you said, that you will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. God will pay you back for everything that you have done for others. So I encourage everybody, just keep on being the gift that you are. Stop complaining, stop living out loud on Facebook saying nothing, but become grateful. And if you can just lock into these last few days with your praise, your promise, and your praise, you begin to see even more manifestation.
I know that's right. I love that. And you are absolutely right. We are a gift. And sometimes we get selfish. Yes, you get what you need, you get the things that you want, but ultimately God blesses us to be blessings to other people. That's how God blesses. There's nothing to me more selfish than a person that doesn't see their purpose in life with regards to being helpers one to another. Even when you have everything against you and it looks like you really shouldn't even be doing what, I shouldn't say you shouldn't, but realistically you don't have it to give, but you still have a heart to give, because I'm a firm believer, just as well as God gave me that little bit right there, that he's able to give me more, because it's exceedingly and abundantly above. And when it's exceedingly, it's just that it's going to always be more than what I can imagine myself needing. So that was a great point with regards to the first segment, because of the fact that it truly kind of segues us into our next question.
Okay.
And this one, you guys, a lot of people are dealing with the ideals and the thoughts of our new president, right? Our president-elect, okay? Our new president-elect, because he is different. He's different on all different levels. You guys know it's not a political show. I don't necessarily preach politics. I really believe that everyone is entitled. It's a democracy, so they're entitled to their vote. However you voted, you're entitled to it. But I do believe that as a people, regardless of who's in the office, that we are supposed to pray. We're supposed to pray for these people, and we're supposed to pray like never before for these people. And we should be praying like never before, because of the fact that we know that Donald Trump has been he's been elected, right, through the Electoral College. So how are people how should people handle their I wouldn't call it their insecurities about where we sit as a people, as a race? And this is across the board. And when I say across the board, my opinion is, if you are not in that class, I don't care what your color is. If you're not in that class, everyone's going to be affected. So how do we, because, we're talking about believers, how do we work with what we have to deal with come next year with Donald Trump being in office?
I'll use as much brevity as I can.
Please.
I think as believers, we, as you well stated, we have a responsibility to pray for those in authority. There is, for those who feel disenfranchised, there is a righteous anger. And I understand that, and I encourage those who march, but march with integrity. Don't become violent. Those who protest. Yes, this nation was built upon protest. If people just want to be real about it, it was birthed out of protest. But I also think for those who are believers, this is great opportunity for revival in the church and revival in the land, because we now have to position ourselves to have something to offer to people who feel hopeless, who feel disenfranchised, people who feel like they might be deported, people who feel like they're going to lose a job, people who are having great discrimination against them. I have often said that for a lot of people, the church becomes the place of last resort. They've tried everything else. And so now we have to be like the sons of Issachar. We have to read the times and monitor the times and understand what is God saying to us after we've gotten past our anger, after your candidate of choice did not win. Now, are you part of the solution to offer the world and your brothers and sisters, or do you just become part of the white noise? So there's a place for all of the emotional things that we're feeling. But if we're going to have an answer, it's not just enough to say, well, Jesus is King of Kings. Don't get your head out the sand. You still live in this world. And so, well, one, if you didn't vote, I need you to be quiet. But two, then you need to register to vote and then become part of the democratic process. But most of all, we need to pray for President-elect Trump and his team that's coming in, because as a man of color, I don't like what I'm seeing, but I also sense revival.
Amen. And you know what? Really, I'm so glad that you said that, because absolutely as a man of color, I have two sons. You understand? And my concern is definitely for them. And we have a comment here on Facebook Live with regards to James Davis, Big Slim. We call him Big Slim, and he's saying, I'm not praying for the devil. Don't even believe in prayer. His God is money. And I understand, the feeling and the emotion behind the feeling. However, here's the thing, and I want to leave this with my brother. I just want to leave this with anybody, because we believe the word, and the Bible says that the heart of the king is in God's hands.
Yes.
To turn it. His word says it, to turn it.
Yes.
Any way he see fit. We're talking God. So yes, it doesn't matter what Donald Trump believes. It's a matter what I believe.
Right. And
it doesn't matter how he feels and what is his God. We know that God is God, and he is the first and he is the last, right? Now, I'm not preaching to nobody, but what I'm saying is that we as believers have to understand that we have power and we have authority over the enemy. Period. Put a period at the end of it. And God is still God. So if we stop praying, and I'm talking about the believers, if we stop praying, then guess what? Then there is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
If we stop believing, then there's a problem. If we stop hoping, then we have a problem. You are absolutely right. There needs to be revival in the church. We need to see that what God has allowed has purpose, and that's with anything, and that he is still God. Can you help me out with that thought, my brother?
Well, God is sovereign, and
yes,
the Bible lets us know that even when God didn't want Israel to have a king, they did their will and they took Saul. And it was not the will of God. So I don't align with those who say, well, this was the will of God. I say it was the will of the people, and the people got what they want it. But James, I'll encourage you and those who may be listening who might have the like mind. We as believers, we still have a responsibility. The Bible lets us know that if the salt loses savior, then we just gonna be kind of messed up here. So we are the salt of the earth. And so true love says that even though I might not like this and it's just hurting my flesh, I'm going to live up to my responsibility, and I'm gonna pray for the man. And we need to pray for him, because what he does and what the cabinet does and the Congress and the Senate, it affects us.
It's going to affect us. Absolutely. So we have to pray. And like I said, and pray, the effectual fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. And, effectual and fervent means it has to be effective and it has to be hot. That's fervent. We can't be lukewarm with regards to our stance and our position. We have to truly be on fire with what it is that we are believing God to do. Listen, we're going to take ourselves a quick break. We're going to do a camera adjustment. Thank you very much for that, Jonah. We will be right back again. You have tuned in to Sister's Heart, where we stream live on IntellectualRadio.com via iHeartRadio. We will be right back. Catch us live. You guys, once again, you have tuned in to Sister's Heart, where we stream live on IntellectualRadio.com. I'm your host, Lady Kim, and I'm sitting here with my brother, my friend, the apostle. I'm going to just go, he's a man of God, he's a mentor, he's a husband, he's all of that. Robert Holliday, I'm giving you those handles, absolutely. And we are just having a Can We Talk session, and we were just talking about our president-elect, Donald Trump, absolutely, and our thoughts and our opinions about that. We understand that as people, there may have definitely been some concerns. He wasn't necessarily the candidate that I wanted. I'll just be honest. However, it is what it is, and we know that God is still God and He is still sovereign. And you were just saying that, my brother. Did you want to add more to that, or you want us to go ahead to our next topic? Because truly, our next topic, you guys. That's right. We walk by faith and not by sight. So we have to always believe that. I want to go to our next topic of thought, you guys. It's just dealing with relationships, right? And I want to talk about relationships because I have a lot of sisters, a lot of women, right? Especially on Sister's Heart, that have felt that, especially depending on their age, that it's just not going to happen for them. So many of them are wondering, asking the question, where is my Boaz? I'm personally, I'm quite honestly, I'm tired of hearing that question. Where is my Boaz? But we hear it, and we know that women are asking that question. But I want to talk about relationships. You've been married now for 31 years. 31 years. Absolutely. To one woman. Yeah. He loves her. Pat, God bless you, woman of God. and I love her. I mean, when I was younger and came into you guys' life, she was definitely just a beautiful. She was just an angel, you guys. And she still is to this day. Also, woman of God, I heard her preach when you did Facebook Live about 2 Sundays ago.
Yeah.
Man, she was on fire. I started to jump through the camera and slap her. But relationships, women are sitting around here waiting for Boaz. And some of them think Boaz is never going to show up. Now, I personally, I have some thoughts around that, but you talk us through, because I'm for sure, being married 31 years, you definitely have some insight on it. So talk us through that. Boaz. Look at my face.
I see. I'm kind of with you, and crucify me if you will, ladies. Here's my problem. Why is this the priority all the time? We have so many fractured sisters who are looking for a man to complete them and to make them whole. I know in math, in fractions, half and half equal whole, but it don't work like that in life. And a problem becomes is that I've always told my daughters, my goddaughters, and so on, is that dogs smell desperation and they smell fear. And so every time you meet a new guy, instead of just looking to build a relationship as just a friend or whatever, you're beseeching God, is this the one? Is this the one? Is this the one? And so the signals that we often project are the wrong things. First, I know with Patricia and we became best friends. We became friends. It wasn't a romantic thing. That didn't take long. But if you're always scaring somebody off with what you're putting out there, you got that desperation smell about you. And then you're not thinking with clarity. So now you're going towards the wrong man, the wrong thing. Why are there so many failed relationships in church? It's because we haven't really learned how to even truly be relational or love ourselves in the proper way. How can I really give to you something that I don't have? If I don't have the ability to love myself right, how am I going to love you right? And the brothers who feel like they can just go through the cotton field picking, they're equally as culpable with this. We need to learn balance, but first we need to learn ourselves, because it's a blessing that Patricia and I've made it 31 years, and we love each other. We were kids when we got married. We shouldn't have been getting married at that age because we still had not actually went through the proper stages of maturation. And so, and I've said this before, so I'm not speaking out of school here. I didn't know we were staying married until after the 4th year, because we were not yet mature. She had her issues, I had my issues, then they became us issues. And finally finding ourselves, we were able to grow together and grow in love and grow into God. But if you just wanting to get married because, here it comes, I ain't having sex no more.
We keep it real, go ahead.
I ain't having sex no more. Child.
Okay.
Okay. After your 7 minutes up.
Is it 7? But go ahead.
I'll give you 2 for the towel.
That's truth.
Then what?
Then what? That's right.
You don't even know each other here. So now you're not going to know each other here.
That's right.
And so, you know, all of us, we like coming to America. You know, you're looking for someone to, you know, not just stir your loins, but also your intellect. Yeah. But you have to know that you're compatible in those ways. And I promise you, you can grow together in the bedroom, but stop looking for Boaz. Let him find you. Stay hidden. Get busy doing something else and stop making this your main thing. Yeah, put your hope chest up. Yeah, you got your bride thing packed away. You done got all your little fancy panties and all this and everything. But focus on something else.
That's right.
And that I'm gonna tell you, as a man, that becomes attractive. When I see you ain't just be trying to be all just hips, lips, and fingertips, but that you are really focused on something as a woman. Now you got my curiosity. And if you get my curiosity, you're gonna be able to get the rest of me. And let me be quiet right
No,
now.
that's right. And that was some good stuff, because you're absolutely right. Like you said, and I never heard it said this way, so I appreciate you for saying it. Dogs smell desperation and they smell fear. And so often, because women have that fear, I'm up in age, and it hasn't happened, or basically I'm not necessarily up in age, but all of my friends are getting married. So now I become desperate. And the first train, first train out of the gate is what you're jumping on, without reading the warning signs. And last week's show that I had was winning by default. And so often we find ourselves, let's say, in relationships, because now we started dating, we've known each other for 2 days, we get married, we don't know each other, we become engaged sexually, we still don't know each other. And outside of the bedroom, this is all really we have. And we think that that's winning, because guess what? Now I can say I have a man, or I have a woman, I have a wife, I have a husband. We think that that's winning.
Mm-hmm.
But in all actuality, you're winning by default. And when you win by default, it's not a legitimate win. It's something that God has probably not even ordained for your life, because of how you got it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the default, how you got it in the first place. And if we can just learn, as you said, to just wait and not just be lips, hips, and fingertips. Is that what I'm saying? Lips, hips, and fingertips. I love that, ladies. Lips, not just be that, but truly be about the work, truly be about the business, and the business of preparing ourselves to actually be wives. A lot of us aren't even ready to be a wife. If you don't know how to clean your house, let's just be real. You don't even know how to, you can't even cook, and that's basic stuff, but it's real stuff. It's real stuff. If you're selfish, you're not ready. You're not ready anyway to be a wife. Or can't no man tell me nothing, or better yet, I love these ones. I don't need a man. Well,
but you hot.
Right. You don't need a man, but you want a husband. Well, you do realize that that's all the same. It's one and the same. And we as women, and men do it as well. And my cousin said that, as men as well, we all have to get past who we are and what we think that our ideal of what a person should be, focus on ourselves, work on ourselves, better ourselves as people, so that we can actually be ready. You said this when on the first show that you were on, if I haven't got myself together now, and I'm messed up, you're messed up, two people coming together that are messed up, talking about something, now we're a whole. No, we're really not a whole. We're just
a hot mess.
We're a hot mess together. And my God, a hot mess together, when we look at the divorce rate, especially in the church, and then we ask ourselves why. To me, that's a rhetorical question.
The statistics are equal for the church as it is for the unchurched people.
Yeah.
And it is an alarming rate of millennials who are in the church are living together, and at an alarming rate. And so now you've really stepped out. Otherwise, like I've seen some of them. This is just a personal pet peeve when someone's common law marriage, but they refer to this person as my husband or my wife. No, I'm sorry. It's not. You're shacking with that person, and if that's what you want to do, okay, do you, but don't for the things that I have sacrificed for, and the things that I'm doing legally from a Bible standpoint. You don't receive those benefits from God that will, and so you can't go around sampling like you're at a buffet.
That's right.
You just can't. But the amount of women who are intelligent, who are educated, they run into a dude and they just become dumb. And I sisters, pick up your self-esteem.
That's right.
I told all the women, the girls, my daughters, and I said, after you have left my house, no man should ever have to validate you. Now, if you're gonna make a decision, you make a decision. But there's not a day that I did not affirm you. And it's not just because you're my daughter, but it's because it's true in who that you are. Sometimes, sisters, you've got to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're beautiful. And if you don't like what you are, then change what you are to become. But while you're working on it, listen, I don't care if it's weight. I don't care if it's your mental state. I don't care if it's your spiritual state. Start looking at yourself and affirming yourself. Because if you can't affirm yourself, don't expect it from nobody else.
That's right. I love that. If you can affirm yourself, and and that's a big part of Sister's Heart, especially with our Facebook page, our daily word for the people and the people, the women and the men of God that actually post on that page. It is about us, one, affirming each other, but definitely empowering you to affirm yourself, because it does begin with you. We talked about that. I said this yesterday. A lot of times we have the milk in the refrigerator, and while the milk still looks like it's good, it has ran past its expiration date.
And
so when you saw that, and it's curd up, and you kept it in the refrigerator, it's there, but it's going to stale. And a lot of times when you, again, operate out of desperation, it's like having milk in the refrigerator. You may think it's good, but realistically it's not. It's past its expiration date, and we keep ourselves in that mindset of trying to have the relationship, like you said, the millennials, they're foregoing marriage and still going to church, but they're foregoing marriage, they're shacking, they're snacking, they're doing all of that, and it's nothing more than having milk in the refrigerator past its expiration date. If it's not going anywhere with regards to marriage, but that should not be the ultimate goal when you come together anyway, but when it's not going anywhere, you have to know when to take it and throw it out, put the milk out. And so often we don't want to do that. And that's also not just relationships with regards to men and women, but it also relationships with your friends.
Yeah.
It's also a relationship with your friends. I was talking to one of my girlfriends, and not for nothing, but realistically, when you have people that are quote unquote in your circle, as we like to say, that's great. But are they also in your corner?
Oh, that's great.
Are they also in your corner? Can they be there for you? So now we're definitely moving it with regards to relationships, when we now look at our friendships. Because your friendships say a lot about who you are as a person. And again, it also has a role in who you choose, right? Because if all my friends are single and I'm the only one trying to get married, and then I get married, but all my friends are single, I don't know how much they're going to support me in my marriage when I have issues. Go ahead.
Well, here becomes the issue. Is that is multifold. Oftentimes, because we're egotistical people, we want to be the smartest person in the room, and so we never try to hang around people that we aspire to be like, who can motivate us. If you always the smartest person in your circle, then you got a dumb circle.
Shots fired, y'all.
You
that was good.
You need to elevate your thinking yourself. I am in the position of my life that I'm trying to be around people who have already obtained, so you can show me. So the people who look to me for support, I'm leaving legacy for them and helping pull them up. I owe it to myself and to them. But also when it comes to friends, you need to be able to classify who is what. Oftentimes we over depend on some people, and we have false expectations of things that they really have never ever promised us that they would be. Some people just good to go to Garrett's too. Not Jared's, but Garrett's, and just get popcorn. Some people can know your heart, but the majority of the people, and it's not because they self-absorbed, it's because they have their own issues and different things. Everybody cannot be your confidant, but this is what we mess up in church. You and I went through the same thing, so now I start oversharing. And now you scaring me, because you're giving me too much information about yourself too fast instead of letting stuff grow organically. But you have to also know that everybody is not meant for everything. There are some people that you can just go to Boston Market with, have fun, and y'all just talk about bubble gum and comic books. There are some people that you will be able to deal with life issues about. And those are the people that you keep close to your heart. It don't mean the other people are not good. It's just that they're not assigned for that in your life. So stop being disappointed in people, because you know what? The reality of it is you disappoint somebody.
I love it. That's good. I promise you guys, that, man, listen, everybody is not going to be Jared material. Some folks are just for Garrett's, and that's across the board when you think about relationships. Because that man, if you know Jared's, okay, Jared's the jeweler. Man, that was on point. Listen, we're going to take ourselves a really quick break, a really short one. We're going to come back. This is Sister's Heart, where we stream live on IntellectualRadio.com via iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Lady Kim. I'm sitting here with my brother, my friend, my mentor, the apostle. He has a lot of titles, you guys. I'm just going to call him Robert Holiday today. Absolutely. But, I'm going to still put the handle on it after a while.
Sierra say, what if you're the only one still?
right, you guys, welcome back. You have tuned in to Sister's Heart, where we stream live on IntellectualRadio.com. I'm your host, Lady Kim. I'm sitting here with my co-host, my guest today, my friend, my brother, the Apostle Robert Holliday. And we are just having a Can We Talk kind of day today here on Sister's Heart. I do thank you so very much, man of God, for coming back and definitely spending this time with me today. So I appreciate you for it. You know, in our last segment, we were just talking about relationships, you know, as far as where's my Boaz, you know, where's my wife, where's my husband, those things that we go through. We talk about, you know, our friends and our relationships, because truly, you know, we need friends, and we need the right people in our circle. We need the right people that's going to have our back. And everyone that's behind you is not necessarily there for the right reason. And you have to remember and remind yourself that if they're behind you, then they're really in a good position. If they're not with you, to stab you in your back. And those are not the people that you want to be around. You know, those are not the people you want to be around. Now I want to talk about, and this is something that we really kind of went from the beginning to the end, and we talked about it just a little bit, but it is important that we kind of segue back to it with regards to the church, right? Because that is where really, we just kind of came full circle, you know, driving our purpose, talking about the president relationship, you know, the church, and more importantly, you know, the Black church. You know, or church period, because there's no such thing as the Black church. Okay, let me correct myself. We are the church, but you understand what I'm saying. But why do we need, especially today, why do we need the church?
The church is the most important thing, the most important entity in the earth. The church is supposed to be the light of the world. The church is supposed to be where government comes to find its answers. The church is not designed to be fractured or splintered. If we go back 8 years, then 4 years ago, we saw how our evangelical brothers split off from us because, let's just be candid, the election of the first Black president. And now we saw that our evangelical brothers, they split off this time to support a misogynistic, racist overtone candidate, President-elect Trump. And so, and we as a Black church, quote unquote, have not done a proper job even putting ourselves in position in totality to be an answer to what the world needs. I think we've kind of gotten off where, even with all these lofty titles that you said I am, we've kind of gotten off that I'm the apostle, I'm the bishop, I'm this, I'm that. And so the focus has become more about what I can get than what I can give. We're supposed to be the solution and the answer. I kind of have problems with that. Well, the church is the hospital, and you see the same people who are always sick. And there's so much misdiagnosis about what ails us. And so we go on platforms like social media and we talk about what's wrong with the church. And you know what's always funny to me about that? The majority of these people I see talking about wrong with the church, they're 30 and under. And you're part of the ones who don't want to be held accountable to anybody, don't have any kind of level of obedience. And you talk about the old church. The only thing you know about the old church is from your mama's knee, and don't really have any idea or the concept. And so we have this so broad range about what true Christianity is, that the world really can't come to us for solutions if we're always being the problem.
Wow. That's heavy. And it's a heavy reality, because as you said, we're supposed to be the solution. But when you look at, quote unquote, the hospital, which we equate that as being the church, and the brokenness of it, how you know, what do we do, especially in this season? You know, we are in a season, I believe, where we need the church, we need the temples, you know, as you know, we need it like yesterday, with regards to being relevant, being in position, having a true relevant word coming through on a regular basis. I believe that just the Sunday church, I believe it's like a dinosaur. If your church is only open on Sunday, you have lost your relevancy in your community. I know sometimes you can't be open every day, but now more so than ever. And like you said, we're talking about complete generation gap, where these 30 and unders and even older people, they don't necessarily see the church as I saw the church growing up, where there was a level of respect for the church in the house of God, things that you just wouldn't do or whenever you would think to do, that you see being done, and so much separation. As you just said, it's so much separation, with the evangelicals, and of course, even with us as African American people. What do we do? And I know you don't have the answer, right? So when I ask you this question, I get it. Your answer is not the end all in all, but from a perspective of, you are a pastor, and this is something I know pastors deal with on a regular basis. When you see it, how do we move past just where we're at and work to get into the next level? Because we're really in the season where the church has got to be relevant.
I think it starts with dialogue. We have to understand each other's heart and how the person feels. I recently, because I was trying to explain to a group of people via social media, which is probably not the best platform all the time, but I was asked a question explaining what was the difference between what I experienced and white privilege. And as I began to explain, the gentleman told me I was racist because he couldn't understand what I was saying. Conversely, I had another white gentleman come back because we decided to dialogue, and I listened to how he felt. This is a white gentleman, how he felt, and I began to explain to him my heart and how I felt, and he decided to look at things through my eyes and vice versa. And we see that the ground that's between us is not so big as we would think, but we are afraid of how the other one feels, and we're afraid to diminish what we perceive as our rights. And so we're entrenched into just our culture. I was so happy today because it's something I prayed about for years. A Hispanic family walked into our church today, and the young lady, I think she's about Tiara's age, and she doesn't, go to church with her. She said, I felt so blessed, and she put it in terms that she understood, and I didn't take offense. You all put on such a good show, and I felt everything just so, but I understood the culture that she was speaking from, and putting myself where she can feel and where she can see. And so when we take the religion out of church and make it more relational, but let's dialogue with one another, like you have this platform here. One of the most beautiful things I saw, and I hope this analogy works, I saw a 20-minute interview with Roland Martin this week, where he was interviewing this guy who's ahead of one of these white nationalist parties. And I could tell that Roland was getting into the dude's mind, because he was able to give him, this is how we feel, and this is why we feel, and this is where your point is invalid. If we are stop being afraid to talk and deal with hard truths, we'll be able to bridge it in no time, because at the end of the day, we should all be trying to look to Jesus, who's the author and finisher of our faith. And so I know in our church, we don't have what you just call mainstream Black gospel music or whatever. I have a very eclectic taste, and so I like to see what a CCM or CM music or whatever. It might be the same 3 or 4 chords or whatever, but to me it speaks to the heart of worship or whatever. And so let's really talk and try to learn of each other, because if you're white, Filipino, Latin, Black, you look at things from a different standpoint, but our common ground should be Jesus. And now let's see, how do we all get to him?
Absolutely. And that goes back to your point that you said earlier with regards to the revival. That's exactly it. We need a revival like never before, and that's what I was just thinking. Absolutely, Azusa. And I remember this was years ago, so now I'm going to date myself when we were listening to cassettes, and I had Azusa Live. I had that cassette, and that was powerful. And if you know the history behind it, if you don't, just look it up. You can Google it. But there was definitely a move of God. And we're talking about across all lines. Mm-hmm. There was no separation, and we can't afford to be separated, because I believe that we all need to operate under, the banner of, one Lord, one faith, and one baptism. Mm-hmm. We all need to operate under that banner, and we all, the word says, if my people. It doesn't say if a race of people. It doesn't say if the religion of people. It just says if my people. It's going to be clear. We all need to turn our faces truly back to God. Book of Revelation say, God he has an offense against thee. That you turned away from your first love. Well, who is your first love? It's not the boy in 5th grade. It's not the girl in 3rd grade. Who is your first love? It's the one that loves you more than anything, and love you so much that he gives life. I'm not preaching to anybody, but what I'm just saying is that it's there. Listen, guys, we're going to take ourselves a quick break. I really think we're running out of time. Then we're going to take a 10-second break. Is that okay, Earl? And then come right back, because I want the man of God to just give us a few words. And we're going to be out, okay? 10 seconds. I promise you. That's all it's going to be. I didn't know. All right, you guys, welcome back once again. I thank you so very much for tuning in to Sister's Heart, where we stream live on IntellectualRadio.com via iHeartRadio, as well as Facebook Live. Listen, I've just had a really, really good time today. This was a Can We Talk kind of show, talking about a little bit of everything. I thank you for the ones that have chimed in via Facebook Live. So looking forward to coming back next week and then sitting down with you guys once again. I really want to give my guest, my co-host, an opportunity to just say some things. I know we have maybe about a minute and a half, but I know that he can do it. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. So, man of God, I'm putting it in your hands now.
All right, and I'll take less than the 90 seconds. I just want to encourage everybody's heart. I know as we're going into the holiday season, and there are many people who might feel like you don't have what you want, or you suffered loss. But one thing that's really been on my heart the last couple of weeks is that we have a promise from God. And if you praise, then repeat the promise and praise again, God is going to lift you up. He'll lift up your bow down head. And don't worry about what you don't have, and just thank God for what you have, and things are going to get better for you. You have a promise, and believe in God. Hope thou in God, and he shall not fail you. Blessings to you.
Absolutely, you guys. Blessings to each and every last one of you. Love you. This is Sister's Heart. Again, love you. We will talk to you next week. This is IntellectualRadio.com via iHeartRadio show. God bless you, and stay encouraged. As the man of God said, just believe the promises. That was your word today. Speak up. Speak up. Speak up. God hears you. Just like you hear him, he hears you. So speak up. See you all next week. Thank you guys for tuning in Facebook Live. Love you guys.